There are a lot of good things to be said about Headquarters World War II. Yes, I was provided early access to this demo. I specifically requested it too. But I've been looking forward to Headquarters World War II for quite some time because I really enjoyed its dynamic gameplay. The game doesn't feel tedious really at all. I mean, right here we do have 40 turns, and the missions are fairly dynamic. But I mean, it's not without its flaws. Like, let's be honest. Right now, we do have our Fog of War turned on, so there is a Fog of War option. So if we hit Control F, it toggles it on and off. I do not think it's on by default. I just discovered that. So a few things you'll notice this is mission 2 of the US campaign. We need to secure our airborne troops. So one of the more unique things, or I guess one of the more interesting things about this is you're going to play through basically the entire map in this mission. There's a secondary objective over here where you need to secure airdrops. There's also 2 positions where you need to secure these objectives up here, and then you need to secure the HQ over here. But first, one of the missions right now is our primary mission is to rescue these paratrooper squads. And these missions are fairly regular. Like these rescue the squads, they're a staple in Headquarters World War II, and it's something I've noticed in the first 2 missions I've played. They always have like a good side objective for you to accomplish. Now, the good thing is it's actually a really kinetic game. The battles are not tedious at all. They're extremely, extremely quick. If we hit escape right here and we go over to load game, I have like 30 turns of me just like dominating the enemy, and it's an extremely, extremely forgiving game. But at the same time, it can also be unforgiving if like a convoy drives right up behind you, like happens later in this mission. But the gameplay is super simple. One thing I would like to see change is the ability to move your units or pre-place your units on the map. Right now, you can't do that, and you also can't move through units. So if we were to click on our recon vehicle right here, our recon, right, our extremely powerful vehicle, we would need to move all of these units out of the way. And for some reason, they position these mortar units forward of all of our units right here. And I think it kind of restricts the player's ability to play the game in that aspect. The snipers are really strong for both the enemy and yourself. They're a really powerful unit, and it's something I would keep an eye on. Also, so if we were to approach this in like a fairly strategic, like combined arms fashion, you know, kind of like fun simulation, immersive gameplay, we would really want our mortar teams to like either suppress these units and then move our airborne troops up and kind of shut some things down. One of the fun things over here is there are these cool little bonus like artillery bombardment, recon assets, rally, reinforcements, and they take like 2 to 3 turns to, well, this one takes 4, this one takes 3, reinforcement takes 4, and then rally takes 3. And those are actually like encouraged to use, and you should use them fairly frequently. So like if we wanted to bombard this position right here, we could kind of hit both of these units and kind of cause them a lot of pain. But we're not going to do that quite yet. I don't want to do that. So if we were to click on one of these units over here, and we can actually locate our artillery. So we do have an off-map artillery unit kind of way in the back, and it makes a lot of sense in this position. Kind of behind everyone, there is a machine gun squad over here, and this is the first one I'd honestly really target to kind of shut down. But we're also going to talk about some inconsistencies. So one of the inconsistencies that I really, really want to bring up, see, and it's extremely kinetic. You're not going to have those like long, grindy hex battles where you spend like several turns fighting it out with units. You kind of just smoke a unit and then move on. But I mean, there are chances where you do really rack up that grindy gameplay where you just keep shooting and both of you are missing. That does happen, but not very frequently. So right off the bat, we drop 2 mortars on this exposed machine gun position, basically reducing the chances of them like engaging these airborne units, which are in a covered position. The next thing you'll notice is, like, right, we got to navigate this terrain next. We need to move into these 2 houses, and then there's also like an overwatch mechanic, which you can toggle on and off with the letter O. And there's an unexposed unit over here. So let's talk about some inconsistencies real quick. For some reason, it doesn't tell us like so if you remember like this mortar, it tells us all the hexes it's going to hit. But if we switch over to our recon unit, it doesn't tell us which hexes are going to be reconned or where the airplane is going to conduct reconnaissance. So it says ready to use. It has a 10 spotting range. I don't exactly know what that means, whereas this has like a bombardment range, right? So this is something I would honestly want to see change, so you can kind of like map out, like if you wanted to like forward observe something up here, like if you wanted to go this direction, you could kind of like position some units because you know where everyone's at right now. Now you got to like consider, all right, when I move through these two units and then up here, is this the route I want to go? And so we don't really know exactly what's going on, and there's really honestly no point in reconning this unit this early on, but it will be ready in 3 turns. So we're going to drop a recon unit right there and kind of just determine where they're at. So then we have several decisions to make. So in the beta, it was really, really difficult. It was really easy for machine guns to kind of like smoke your tanks. They've changed that quite a bit within the game. So as you see, as we move up, they're going to engage us. We're going to trigger their Overwatch. But the weird thing is it they get a lot of chances to Overwatch, right? And we're kind of just like randomly trying to like bully this unit right here, like 3 Overwatch for that machine gun. Then we move again, and eventually we'll like be in position to engage that one. So I feel like 3 is a bit much. We could actually move 1 more time. And these are machine gun units. So, like, I mean, it's a bit of a cheese ball technique. I think the one thing we need to be careful of is I'm not exactly sure what these units are equipped with. They could have grenades. So, like, the downside of moving like that, and I really cheese balled that right there. I mean, that's just me cheese balling it to, like, demonstrate. Like, we're, like, probing with this armored vehicle. We know all the units that are over here. So we like choose to engage this unit in the house. And obviously there is a downside to doing that. And the downside being that there could be an infantry squad somewhere in here with anti-tank grenades. I don't think machine gun units carry those grenades. And we actually got like some terrible misses right there. So technically now we could move all of our units like forward if we wanted to. The one thing is like moving across terrain is extremely punishing. So I do know this like mission over here, there's going to be some airdrop containers as you see already on the map. That is one of the missions we need to like secure and get those airdrop containers. It's a secondary, it's not something you have to do. You'll also notice there's like terrain on the game as well. And I'm not exactly sure, like your recon units, tanks can move through these units right here. And then if there's like wrecks on the battlefield, you do need to clear them. But there's also sandbags right there we can move through, I believe. But it costs extra movement points. So now we need to decide exactly how we want to utilize these. And this is all like part of my first impressions. So technically like there's no like Overwatch. So we can't really like really extend up into this position right now. So now we're in position with this truck, and then we do want to get these flamethrower units more in position to kind of do some close range combat, and we'd have to dismount them. But once we dismount them, they're going to be exposed at the same time. So we're actually going to drop them right there, and I think that's a much better position. The thing about them is they can't really like move anymore. Like look how like punishing all this movement is at this moment in time. So we could have dropped them there and then moved forward 1. But now this is like exposed by that machine gun. And then you have your airborne troops. And we don't really want to move into this machine gun right now. So what we could do is we do need to move these mortar teams off the battlefield. If these mortar teams kind of continue to be in the way, they're going to make everything really difficult. But remember, you can't move through your units. So we need to be careful where we position these. So moving them back might have been a mistake. We're going to kind of hammer away at these guys right here. You get 2 shots with your mortars. And let's see if I can like demonstrate this too. They get like demoralized, but they don't suffer any casualties when a building collapses in on them. Our accuracy does improve a little bit, and I'm kind of bummed out about that. Oh, they're destroyed. And then we just shot a random spot. That was a mistake. And then so we basically neutralized 1 team right there. So now we're like really free to just kind of like get out of the way. Everyone kind of needs to get out of the way. So remember, like we want our troops off the road constantly. And we also need to like plan this out. So we need to figure out how we're going to go up here. We know there's going to be a mortar team up here. We know there's a team up here. And I believe there's actually for some reason a forward observer team spawns at some point, and I'm not sure why. So You can't just mindlessly move these units. These snipers are really, really powerful anti-infantry unit. And if they're not in a position to engage any infantry, then they're just going to be like a burden on you the entire time because they're going to be in your way. So basically what we're doing is we're trying to open up these lines of sight. Not so much these lines of sight, but these roadways, because you can't manage this. So if we wanted to bring these recon vehicles up here to provide fire support through this town, it's not something we would be able to do. Also, you can kind of drive through some terrain, but I'm not exactly sure which terrain you can go through. Also, you'll notice that like some of these roads don't connect in this mission. As you see, like this road goes around, but it doesn't connect back here. So you'd have to go, what I did is I drove tanks back here to engage this machine gun team one time, and I had to drive them all the way back around. So we have our recon unit. Now we can take a look at our recon unit and look how much more movement we have. Remember, we had 0 movement, so we can actually use our recon how they're intended to be used at this point, which is reconnaissance. I'm also going to demonstrate something that's a bit different too. Remember, we don't want to go too far forward. We don't we need to be forward of this bridge, and we need to decide what our tanks are going to do. But the more forward we are, the less firepower we're going to have. So we're basically going to clear this with 1 tank and then kind of come around. So my first time I played through, I went through the middle, and now we're kind of going a bit south this time, just because we have a better understanding of the game. And now we could actually set up some machine gun nests and everything like that if we wanted to. So we could actually look how much further we can move now compared to what we could before. So basically in 1 turn, we've destroyed 2 machine gun nests, injured another one, scouted this recon team up here, and we're just going to hit them with a mortar. I mean, we don't really need to like harass that guy too much, but we'll hit this guy with a mortar. Just so you can see that on the screen. Just like that. And so he gets a bit demoralized. They can break. So if we take a look at our morale real quick and we grab a unit, over here we can see that they're at 100 morale, and it tells us like our spotting, our camouflage, and our AP attack, and then our mortar shooting practice. Oh yeah, I forgot to give them all shooting practice. And then basically when we choose to go this way, it's just going to take a long time to go through all this vegetation. And so, it's not like tedious. Like, it doesn't feel long. But there's not really a lot of there's not a lot of units. And that's one of the better things about this game is there's not a lot of units to manage on the battlefield. And here comes what looks like... Oh, there's a mortar team. And this is something they really need to take a look at, too. There's a mortar team over here. Wow, they just got fucking smoked. So in reality, there really isn't anything we could have done differently. We could have reconned them and then dropped mortars. That didn't happen to me last time. So now we have a bunch of units coming in from the south. So there's that forward observer. So they must have just walked into this area. They were probably in the woods. And then we lose line of sight on them, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So this forward observer either has like really good is like spotting for them, which makes sense, but then there's nothing we can really like counterplay that, right? So we can reinforce this unit right here because I like that unit. The airborne troops are really strong. If it's gonna let me. Oh, I can't yet because I haven't like captured him. So we're gonna move up. We're gonna capture these guys. Once we capture them, we're just going to reinforce because there's no reason to not reinforce. And then it starts telling us our mission. So then we reinforce, and like there's a lot of good game mechanics. There's like 2 recon units in the back, and then this machine gun nest right here. Basically what we're going to do with this machine gun nest is just drop mortars on him. There's really no other reason not to. And then as we break them down. This guy drives all the way forward and engages that machine gun team. So it looks like that mortar team ran away, which is interesting. This guy could move 1 house, and we could actually assault into that hex. So we lose 10 morale right there, but we can actually assault into that. But the first thing we're going to do before we assault into that is we're going to... I don't even really want to remount our flamers. Because, look at all that terrain we need to move through. And this sucks. Like when you start like getting off all this terrain, you get really, really, really bad movement. But you can't be on the road with your units, because if we wanted to bring this mortar unit around like that, we would really struggle. Like that. So now we've used that unit. This unit can move forward 1 hex. And then we can kind of start moving a few things. But now that they're off the road, we can get this guy back on the road, and he'll be a bit more versatile in that role. So we could start engaging these recon units, or we can assault them. So let's soften them up with our mortars so we can demonstrate the assault mechanic. Get like a 56. Get like a 23 morale. I'm not going to like, I want to like demonstrate the mechanic, so I'm not going to hit him twice and get like a lucky hit, and then you don't get to see the assault. So then we bring up this assault, and we can just go 100 for 100. I'm not sure exactly, like, so... And one thing I would like to see change is the ability to cancel that forward move. Like a lot of war games have that move where you assault and you can choose to go into the hex if they're destroyed or if they're not destroyed. I would like to see that implemented, but I don't think it will. And so now we have a choice. We need to keep pushing towards that mortar unit. We also need to scout out this unit. And there's really no reason for this tank to be back here, but we're going to shoot at this guy anyway. Get a solid hit. Let's see if we do another one. And they're demoralized. And we're going to get these airborne troops on the road. So what we need to do now is we need to continue our recon. So we're going to get off the road. We're going to see what we see. So I know there's units in this house. I've played this mission before. There's units here. There's units here. And there's probably units here. It's weird that we still can't see into that house. And there's also like 3 units over here. So it's interesting that we can see all the way down this road. There's like a machine gun team right there. And there's also units in this house as well. I wonder if they haven't moved into those positions yet. Right, we're going to stop short. So let's talk about another mechanic that's a bit strange. You cannot move across this waterway. So for some reason, you can't go down into this ditch. I don't know if it's this fence that's obstructing you or if it's these sheep. But you cannot go across this waterway for some strange reason, which is going to be limiting in scenario design. I don't know why they opted to do that. I don't know what's so restrictive about that position. And then we could remount our flamers, and then we could move this truck. Get back on the road and away from the mortars. So basically everyone's already moved. I would like, there is a foot thing. I thought this foot would tell us if we could move or not, but it doesn't seem to. So this guy could move again. He could move back and he could move across, but he can't move across that water. So we're not going to worry about that. Then we hit intern right here. And so basically, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I think he's just dropping mortars right now. So here's where it tells us about this airdrop, which is fine. I'm going to mindlessly drive this tank all the way forward right here, because I know there's a sniper here. Tank at your service, sir. Just tell us where you need us, sir. Let's hit the road. Armored recon standing by. Moving out. So we spotted that. That's actually an infantry team. That's not a sniper team. So he could actually engage this unit right here. So that's one thing that's a bit interesting is like the line of sight feels a bit wonky to me. It feels very strange. So if we go into like a different scenario real quick, like turn, let's go like halfway through. Like turn 20, 1820. You're going to see how this like battle like devolves. So basically, we're at the end of this turn. We're working our way to get these supplies right here. And we have like a tank. So what happened earlier is a convoy spawned in. Right here, we have all the objectives. And basically, the mission ends when we move on to that objective right there. So if we move forward one, we move on to that objective. But if we come back here, we have to capture these airdrops. So overall, I think it's a really fun, unique, challenging game for sure. I'm excited to see how it evolves. I would like to see some things change. It's a really, really fun and interesting game, but there's just things that I think need to be addressed. So if we exit the main menu, we're going to take a look at the skirmish. So there is a skirmish mode. There is a continue game. Does it load your most recent save, or does it load where we were at? So right here, we would have to like recapture these objectives. And I think I'm working on capturing these airdrops. So that sucks. So basically, we'd have to go recapture all this. I'll do that. I'll do that and go into the third mission later. So if we go back to the game, there's a skirmish, there's a multiplayer and skirmish. I haven't looked in skirmish. This is all you get. You get a fun little map. It gives you several battles to fight over, which is cool. So, and then trainings and settings. I played through the entire training mission. Overall, like my first impressions, I mean, it's fun, it's unique, it's dynamic. There's a lot of things that can be improved upon. It releases on the 11th. It has a few quirks that'll take a while to get used to, especially like the line of sight stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Peace.